power of the girl who didn't look back. Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you is the one thing he never saw coming. Meet Maya. Maya is the kind of woman who loves deeply. She's the one who remembers your favorite coffee order, the one who listens when you talk about your childhood dreams, the one who puts her whole heart on the line because she doesn't know any other way to live. And then there's Ethan. Ethan liked Maya. He really liked her. But Ethan is a man who likes to keep his options open. He liked the security of Maya. He liked knowing that no matter how late he called, or how many days he went without texting, Maya would be right there, waiting. But then, Ethan decided to pull the "it's not you, it's me" card. He set her down in that crowded booth at the local diner, the one with the cracked vinyl seats, and he gave her the speech. "I'm just not in a place for anything serious right now," he said. "I think we should just step back, be friends." You know, he expected tears. He expected Maya to ask why. He expected her to send him a 5-page text message at 2 in the morning explaining why they were perfect together. But Maya, she didn't do any of that. She looked him right in the eye, took a slow sip of her water, and said, "Okay, I hear you." And then she stood up. She paid for her own coffee, and she walked out of that diner without looking back. 1 day passed. Nothing. 3 days passed. Ethan kept checking his phone, expecting to see her name pop up. "A, hey, I miss you." Even "A, you're a jerk." But there was silence. A week later, Ethan is sitting in his apartment, and the silence is starting to feel heavy. It's starting to feel loud. See, Ethan thought he was the one in control. He thought he was the one holding the scissors, cutting the string. But what he didn't realize is that Maya wasn't just some string he could dangle by staying silent. Maya did something revolutionary. She reclaimed her power. She didn't beg for an explanation, because she realized that if he couldn't see her worth, an explanation wouldn't change a damn thing. She didn't check his Instagram stories. She didn't ask their mutual friends how he was doing. She just disappeared. And that absence, it's starting to eat at him. He's replaying that last conversation over and over in his head. Why wasn't she more upset? Did she never really care? Is there someone else? Suddenly, Ethan isn't the guy who wasn't ready. He's the guy who just realized he let a diamond slip through his fingers, and he has no idea how to get it back. But here's the kicker. Maya isn't doing this to play a game. She isn't staying silent to win him back. She's staying silent because she's busy. She's busy reconnecting with the girl she was before she met him. She's busy hitting the gym, finishing that book on her nightstand, and laughing until her stomach hurts with her best friends. She isn't waiting for a text. She isn't holding her breath. She's realizing that the most attractive thing she can ever be is a woman who knows her own value. When you choose yourself, when you refuse to audition for a role in someone's life who doesn't even want to cast you, something shifts. The silence isn't a void. It's a boundary. It says, my energy is a privilege, and you just lost your subscription. If you're sitting there right now, staring at a blank screen, wondering if you should send that one last text, stop. Put the phone down. Breathe. Let the silence do the talking for you. Because sometimes, the loudest thing you can ever say is absolutely nothing at all. He expected you to chase. Show him what happens when you decide to walk. Because a woman who knows her worth never has to explain it twice. Asterisk the power of walking away without saying a word. The rain in Seattle doesn't just fall. It lingers. It clings to the windows of the small coffee shop on 4th Street, blurring the world outside into a messy collage of gray and neon dot inside. Maya sat across from Julian. 2 years, 730 days of shared breakfasts, inside jokes, in a future they'd mapped out on the back of napkins. Then, he said it. I don't think I can give you what you need, Maya. I think I need to be alone for a while. In that moment, the air in the room felt thick, heavy. Julian looked at her, his eyes braced for the impact. He expected the tears. He expected her to ask why. He expected the, but I love you, and that we can fix this, that usually follows a heart being ripped out. But Maya, she just looked at him. She didn't blink. She didn't crumble. She took a slow, steady breath, reached for her coat, and stood up. Okay, she said. Okay, she didn't wait for him to explain. She didn't wait for him to offer a friend's consolation prize. She simply walked out the door and into the rain, and that was the last time he heard her voice. Mid-pace, shift to the psychological vibe, see? Julian thought he was the one in control. In his mind, he was the director of this movie. He had the script ready. He'd say his lines. She'd play the part of the heartbroken ex, okay? And he'd get to feel like the honest guy who did the right thing. He expected her to text him that night. Something like, "I'm so confused," or "Can we just talk?" when his phone stayed silent. He told himself she was just processing. When 24 hours passed, he figured she was angry. But when a week turned into 2, and his Instagram stories showed she hadn't even viewed them, a cold, unsettling realization started to settle in his gut. Maya hadn't just left the building. She had reclaimed her energy. Most people don't realize that silence isn't just not talking. Silence is a boundary. It is a wall made of pure self-respect. Julian spent his nights scrolling through their old texts. He was looking for a loophole, a sign that she was still orbiting his life. He wanted that hit of validation, that echo stroke of knowing he was still wanted by someone he had rejected. But there was nothing, no accidental late-night calls, no sad songs posted to her profile, just a void. And the thing about a void, Julian, is that it forces you to look at yourself, without Maya there to beg for his attention. Julian had to face the reality of what he'd actually done. He hadn't just found himself. He had lost the only person who truly saw him. Her silence was a mirror. It reflected back his own indecision, his own fear, and his own immaturity. Building intensity. Use caps for vocal emphasis. He started to wonder, was she ever that into me? He started to question his own value. If I was so easy to walk away from, was I ever as special as I thought I was? That is the power of silence. It flips the script. It takes the rejected and turns them into the unforgettable. Maya wasn't playing a game. She wasn't trying to win the breakup. She was simply choosing herself. She understood a fundamental truth that most people forget. You cannot convince someone to see your worth. If they don't see it when you're standing right in front of them, they definitely won't see it while you're chasing them down the street. She gave him exactly what he asked for. He asked for a life without her, and she made sure he felt the full weight of that absence. Climax. Emphasized the killing him sentiment. 3 months later, Julian sat in that same coffee shop. He typed out a dozen messages. "Hey, I've been thinking about you. I made a mistake. Can we talk?" He never sent them. Why? Because he was afraid. He was afraid of the silence. He was afraid that if he reached out, he'd realize that she had moved so far past him that he was just a footnote in a chapter she'd already finished. The silence was killing him because it was certain. It was a closed door that he couldn't charm his way through. Maya, meanwhile, was at a gallery opening 3 towns over. She wasn't thinking about the rain. She wasn't thinking about the 4th Street coffee shop. She was laughing with a stranger about a painting, feeling lighter than she had in years. She had evolved. She had used that quiet space to rebuild her foundation. She didn't need a closing conversation because her actions were the closure.